studio with Todd, aka Big Todd, aka DJ Todd Jones from everything from Dance Music Report. There was another magazine after Dance Music Report.
What's the name of that?
You did Rap Pages for a second. Did you do Rap Pages?
No. What was the name? It was a small magazine. See, I have it at home. That's why, if we would have did it at home, I could just. It's called the One Nut Network.
Who did that? I don't remember who did One Nut. I really can't remember who did that.
Devin would. I think she connected me with that magazine. And
Devin
I did
Roberson.
I did one editorial, one thing there. So.
Hello, as well as DJing, and let's see, Diamond D, Fat Joe, Showbiz, AG, and Low Finesse were all from your neighborhood and your section of the Bronx.
Definitely, yep. We all, except for Diamond. Diamond didn't go to school. Diamond went to private school. I think he went to Catholic school.
Right, but he lived in the area.
But me, Show, Fat Joe, Finesse, we all went to the same junior high school.
That's crazy. You guys were all right there in that same area. It's hard to think that the music that's affected everywhere around the world started in the Bronx, and that you guys were there for its inception. Like, they were at the community centers, the junior high schools, and in elementary schools and parks that you guys lived in.
Yes, we were there. We lived 970 Boston Road. I lived on the fourth floor, and Show lived on was it third? I think it was the fourth floor, but Show lived a floor above me. Yeah, man. And Diamond and Fat Joe lived in Forest, and Forest PJs. But that was all home, dude. 163rd, 164th Boston Road area, 10456. That was the zip code, bro. That's where it all started.
When do you remember DJing? Like, when was the first time you were DJing? I mean, were you doing? Who was spinning first? You or Show?
Show was doing this thing since he was. There's footage of him out there like DJing, at a very young age. Pictures of him with like a gray sheepskin on. I
remember the brown and gray sheepskins. I remember they started dyeing them, and they had red, and then they had blue.
Yeah. Yep. He had a gray one. It's really, they used to call him Little Rock. He was, he's been around for a long, like DJing wise. He supersedes me by years. I started maybe in 1985. I had a high school friend named Marty, DJ RZD. I would go by his crib, and this is how I guess the genesis of my evolving and being involved in DJing. And I would go by his crib, and I would like kind of spin with him.
Right.
And he had the 1200s and everything. I was like, this is me. I'm not buying them. I'm better than him. I could just buy cheap turntables and be good.
Nah.
I had to find that out the hard way, bro.
Yeah.
So I bought a pair of like Gemini 1200s, thinking that it's all about the person who uses them.
Yeah.
No.
The direct dive turntables are that Techniques made the idea of having the top be the actual top of the motor.
Yep.
Instead of the piston spinning it, changed everything.
Yep.
They're still now that I guess the copyright or the it's not trademark. It would be the copyright or whatever. The ownership of that type of technology no longer is locked to them.
Nope.
So all the other companies, Reloop, Pioneer, are all starting to use that. But I think it changes the way a turntable works. The momentum is different. How accurate it is in terms of speed is different.
Yeah.
All of that works totally differently when the top of it is the motor as opposed to when it's the piston. I remember I had except for the Newmark turntable. I don't know what it was. That was like a 7,000 horsepower turntable. It like you could drop a record on it. Two things were really good about that. The torque that it had, because it was always consistent. But the thing about the Newmarks is there was no deviation. Like, once you set the quartz on a Newmark, you could let two records play for like 2-3 minutes, and somehow they would stick together. And I don't.
But how could that work? Because if you're playing a record that's done live, it's still going to fluctuate.
Yeah. The live feel, which is something that always affects your DJing. Is something where you have to constantly ride the pitch control.
Right.
Like if you're playing any kind of old breakbeat and you allow the whole record to play, or you're mixing all the way through and past the break, then you got no choice. You got to adjust the pitch control.
Yeah.
But in terms of like if you had like a record that was recorded with SMPTE and a metronome, and it's pretty close, you were doing pretty well. Like an old house record, a disco record, you know, those last disco records. Some of them
because those are all electronic.
Tight.
Yeah.
Those
like
that were more electronic.
Giorgio
really
Moroder
well.
and all that stuff. That was all electronic. So
like those dudes, you know, they were using racks and racks of equipment that was all synchronized together. So if you have those records, like you know, the Charivari record is pretty accurate.
Yeah,
that it's pretty accurate.
Yeah,
that you don't find that in the early disco because it was still a drummer.
Yeah,
and those dudes were playing for 12 minutes. It's impossible to stay accurate at 12 minutes.
That's crazy.
But that's inside baseball. You know, being a DJ. The other thing that I want to, somebody's gonna copy this, but I want to have a show where we just talk about how you find records because it's changed. The dynamic used to be you go to a record store and you literally filter through hundreds of records manually.
Yes.
Now there's so many different ways. There's YouTube. There's Shazam. There's still going to the record store and buying records, and people are buying whole
catalogs
of records, an entire DJ's collection.
Yeah.
And when that happens, they just throw them in.
Yeah.
I went to me and Heidi went to Knoxville, and the first place I went to dig for records was this place called I can't remember the name of it. It's across from downtown. You take this bridge. You kind of have to park and walk a little bit.
Yeah.
But you go there, and it's just piles of records. Like, it looks like they just went to somebody's house to an estate sale and took all those records and then went to another estate sale. So you find stuff like you can find whole sections that are just Herb Alpert, whole sections that are just, Bob James, that are just Frank Sinatra. But in reality, that's where you find a lot of records because you're only looking for one break, or you're only looking so you can go and just buy like a whole stack of Frank Sinatra records and go through them and find just one thing that you're looking for. There's that, and then there's that whole style of going and looking for just city records and just records that are just producers, like just Bob James, and he did stuff for Stax and for CTI and for all these other labels. And so you look for Bob James records, or you look for Bob James musicians. But then, what I'm saying, you're missing so much.
I never rock like that. I mean,
you never look for just a producer or just
when it came to DJing records, it was kind of through different avenues, like DJs. I would get records from. But when it came to like working with records and trying to find stuff to sample, nah, dude. I just look for sounds. Anybody who had a record out, I was buying it.
But at that time, this is what I remember. I remember that the record dudes, like the serious record stores, like you went to Car City, like you're not going in there, or at least when I went in there, I'm sure that changed later, or maybe other people got more gravitas than I did. They were like, hey, you're not, you're not playing this record. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not gonna play that record in advance. Like, you can't go in there with a turntable, or you can't. Some of them would let you do it, but most of them a lot of times, and then you didn't have like an option. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't hear it, so you're buying records by what was on the cover, or what the label was, and
see your experience was different because I wasn't buying records to sample back in those days. I was buying records to play, so I had DJs that would kind of funnel the music down to me. But when I got that sort of inspiration to actually start sampling, it was the digital era had came in. So I could find anything. And at that point, my thing was more about sound as opposed to drum beats and all that. Because at some point, you could create the drums, but it's those sounds that you need. So I never was one to say, oh, I want all Bob James. I want all, Nile Rodgers bass lines or what. Nah, I just kind of listen to the music. I listen to whatever I listen to.
Right. Even though they had a specific sound. So if you were getting a Nile Rodgers record, you were kind of like picking up his sound. Do you know what I mean? Like his bass sound, or the amps that he used, or the recording engineer that they used. Like every Funkadelic had a specific sound, and it changed era to era.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? When they were on Wes Brown Records, it was different than when they were doing the Warner Brothers thing like this. There was a kind of a different sound there. I remember I talked to, we didn't really talk about this, but talking to Carlos Butch Smalls, he came up with a lot of the sound that people used on different records. The way not just the way he played, but the actual physical things that he used to create these sounds. So, that changed from record to record. And so after a while, I started looking for specific people, like who's playing guitar on this? Like, is it going to be, this person or that person?
Yeah.
I started looking for Wes Montgomery records because I liked his guitar sound.
Yeah.
And then DJs, like you said, a lot of it, especially early on, it's something I still can't really put my finger on. We found out about a lot of records because of DJs, because of another DJ played it. Like if I heard Jeff Mills, who at the time was the Wizard on WJLB, play a record, I would go and try and find that record. And it was hard because you couldn't emulate the record. You go in the record store and start beatboxing the record.
Yeah.
You would try and remember some lyrics from the record. I remember I came to New York and I didn't record the it was the Mr. Magic show. It was pre-In Control show because Molly by himself was the In Control show, right?
Yeah.
And then Mr. Magic was prior to that.
Yeah.
And I heard a song and I had to just remember part of the lyrics. And when you go in the record store, and the other thing is this hip hop, everybody had an ego. So it's like if you go in the store like trying to like hum a record, within 10 seconds you feel stupid. You know what I mean? Like the dude's looking at you, the dude behind the counter is like.
We had a small little record store in Parkchester in the Bronx called LBM. And if I'm not mistaken, Lorraine was related to TR Love from Ultra.
From Ultra.
So, we would go there, and it was pretty knowledgeable. They had pretty knowledgeable people working there. Breakbeat Lou
used to work at that record store.
He worked in it because he lived in Parkchester. If you look on the back of Breakbeats,
it all says Park. Yeah, it says that's true.
It's all from Parkchester. It was him and another guy. I can't remember the other guy's name, but it was a black dude that they were the minds that created
the breakbeat.
The breakbeat. So we would go to those stores, and if you wanted them, LBM always had fresh exclusives. They always had them first. It was them, and then maybe Rock and Soul, and then it was another record store.
Rock and Soul was downtown, not on 42nd, but it was down.
30. It was on 35th Street or something like that. It's
Broadway.
still around. It's still around. Yeah, it moved. It moved to like 36th Street. And
Rock and Soul still exists.
Yeah, man, still exists.
I used to go to my record stores to hit first and foremost because you remember I used to buy drum machines and stuff too, but I went to Rock and Soul because that was further down in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And I would walk back. And then I go to Downstairs Records.
Yes.
And Downstairs, actually, there's a lot of DJs. Tony Humphries used to work at Downstairs.
Probably. I mean, Tony Humphries he's one of the guys, you know what I mean? Who shaped club sound.
45, they had the 45 area. And the 45 area was so deep. Like they were all, like it was just volumes of 45s there. I never was a 45 person because I always felt like 45s are harder to control. They wear out faster.
Yeah.
Like
me neither. It's like the past, I want to say 5 years. Actually, I had a friend, Mike T. Brown, DJ from New York. He was, he's all digital now. He's like, screw this. I don't want these 45s. Yo, Todd, you want to buy the 45s? I was like, sure. You know what I mean? Like he's like, I wouldn't mind passing them off to you because I know you'll take care of them. And I was like, yeah, and when my turn comes, I'll pass it
along to somebody else that matters.
Yeah, that matters.
Cares.
And he had some, oh my God, like Average White Band, a bunch of like salsa stuff that you would never see. Some soul like from the 70s, and I can't really name artists right now. I'm blanking, but I had to record everything because it even got to a point where I was like, I don't want to use these because I want to keep them.
Because you don't want them.
I want to preserve them.
Yeah, you want to preserve them. But I mean, so many people do, and I don't know how you feel about this. Like, hey, I'm going to do an all 45s party. I don't know that does anything.
Yeah. I don't think so either. And people just aren't with it, man. I don't want to make people. I don't know. I just don't know the right people. That's what it is. I don't know the right people to invite them to an all 45 party where I feel comfortable with saying come and then them having a good time. Because at some point they want to hear what they want to hear, and it's like people just old and they don't feel like it no more. They don't have that, and it's kind of sad, that it's like that. But yeah, I wouldn't want to do it. It would be very exclusive. I would have to handpick everybody, and it wouldn't be a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for you, but I feel like I never got to the Stretch Bobbito level. Jennifer Lopez isn't coming to hear me play.
Nah,
she's coming to hear Bob play. She's coming to hear Stretch.
Yeah, of course. No,
so You know, those people, you know what I'm saying, they say they're having an all 45 party, an all Prince party, or all, you know, whatever party. They're looking for that. You know what I'm saying? That's a huge thing for them. But for me, you know, that's not me. Now we got 3 people. I wonder where the other 2 people went. We're not playing music. We didn't get cut off. What's going on? Where'd you guys go? That's really dope. When you really, you know, the 45 parties, like, it's, you know, the 45s are dope. But I just never, I don't care if you're playing digital music.
Yeah, I don't care.
As long as it sounds good.
Yeah.
I think another, maybe it was Mars, said, as long as I have the sound.
Yeah.
I don't need the actual vinyl. I think you said this, unless I have like an attachment to that record, like that's a specific record from a specific era that I want to have. I don't really have to have it out there. I think there's a lot of records that I want to have a copy of, like, you know, certain Gangstar singles, certain breakbeats that I want to have a physical copy of. I've also noticed that if you sample stuff, like now we've gotten so sophisticated, there are algorithms that can pull a record apart. But if you're using an MP3 and you pull that record apart, you hear the weird harmonics in it.
Right.
You can go to a cappella sites and you can drop in a record. But if it's an MP3, you can hear the weird harmonics.
Yeah, the artifacts.
You know, there's artifacts from it becoming an MP3 or lost pieces of audio, and then you don't really have what you want when you want to just pull out that bass sound or just those drums,
right?
Or just those vocals. So it sounds a little weird. But I dig that we have technology that's that advanced now,
dude. Like now, the thing is, people with sessions getting, I don't know how they do it. Like, shout out to my boy Ben, aka Soundwave. He's kind of into this thing, like where he's meeting people and getting sessions of people, like creating these records. You know, people have like the Eric Sermon session from Hitting Switches. You know what I mean? Like, you got the instrumental, you got the one track, the track with Colorado on
all the stems.
Like, how do you get this stuff?
I mean, unless they have the relationship, I guess, where they're going in the studio and they're able to bring up all the tracks.
Yeah.
And then dump them off, and then you get either groupings or stems.
Yeah, I don't know how they're doing it, man.
You know, or some dudes are really talented enough to recreate it. Like, but then, you know, it's really tough because some of those sessions and stems that you're talking about, they have to have been taken from the original tracks.
Yeah. People are getting them, and shout out to Lord Finesse for getting that Motown deal where they just opened the vaults and let him make remixes of whatever he wanted. Did you hear the album? I haven't heard all of it.
To it.
I heard a couple of joints, but I mean, that's an amazing thing to be able to accomplish. It's like he had stems of like Marvin Gaye, You Want Me, and a bunch of Jackson. You know, he had all of Motown's catalog. He had access to,
but he wasn't able to actually release the individual stems. He's only able to use them for
yeah.
purposes.
Which is fine. Just imagine if somebody said, "Hey, Jay, you could have that. This is the vault. Do whatever you want. Remix whatever you want." Man, listen, dude. Come on.
I mean, it's a ridiculous opportunity. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, dude, I'm getting political texts. Like, I don't understand what politicians are doing. Dude, they have to know.
Political texts, like what?
Yeah, like, I just got a text. It's like, Jason, I'm Nicole Horn, Democratic candidate for Georgia Labor Commissioner. I'm a working mom who started out as a Waffle House waitress and then started my own small business. For too long, our state's Republican leadership has left too many Georgians behind. So basically, at this point, I have to keep reading. But by the time, unfortunately, because we all have no patience. Once you get past the first sentence, you're like, whatever. And then this all. I mean, in a way, it makes sense. Oh, she's a working mom. I think that helps to a degree, I guess, when you're voting.
Right.
Because you look at who they are and you kind of develop at least a slight familiarity. So when I go vote on Tuesday or whatever, oh yeah, the lady that's she used to work at Waffle House. You at least will remember who she is.
Right.
The other thing I think that's funny is you can't vote for you can only vote one party line.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't, you decide your lane, and you decide your lane kind of for the rest of the decision-making process. You have no effect on who the other party elected or didn't elect. But you get these texts, when it gets to be maybe 7 days ahead of election time, you start to get these texts on a day-to-day basis.
Right. Right.
ding, and you're like, oh, it's so and so calling me from, and then it's like, no, this is a generic text that's going out to everybody that's within a district.
Yeah, I worked at Color of Change for a little bit, and they would set up the random text things. It was amazing how they would get in touch with everybody in that area, that voting area.
Right.
These guys, I don't know, man.
I don't know. I have trouble trusting anybody, and I don't know that we have the runway, the timeline, to really get to know who your candidate is and who's representing you. And then even when they are in your community working, you're not guaranteed that whatever issues you want to be addressed are actually going to get addressed.
Yeah, dude.
There's no way that the mechanics and the machinations of politics, you can understand how they're going to affect this person's journey when they're what do they get, 2 years, 4 years? If you're a representative, you got 2 years. If you're a senator, you got 6 years. So you've got a longer ramp. But I mean, it probably takes you 2 years to get used to the job. It probably takes you 2 years to develop any kind of relationship with the other senators and figure out what your job is and what you're doing. Right. And then, from there, it just goes haywire.
Yeah, dude. You know a lot more than I know about that stuff. I don't really
how much do any of us know? Huh? I mean, how much do any of us know? I mean, I think, how many people, I'd be curious to ask how many people go and vote and they're literally just guessing. It's like buying records. You look at some people. A lot of times, I would buy records just because of the cover.
Yeah, I mean, did I buy records because of the cover? No, nah.
You never bought a record because they had a dope cover.
Give me a record that you bought just because of the cover, and I'll tell you because I'm probably sure I would have never bought that record because of the cover. But tell me,
the mixologist. Oh no, the turntable, Mixmaster G and the Turntable Orchestra. What was it? It was that record that had that gong, that ding, boom, boom, ching, ding, and it had like a scratch in it. It wasn't even the Turntable Orchestra. It was Mixmaster G and it had a big graffiti thing, and it had like a bunch of turntables.
What year was this?
Oh, geez, man. That had to be 1996, 1986, 1987.
Okay, 86, 87, yeah. I probably wouldn't have bought it because if I didn't hear it on like that, my outlets was like P Fine, DNA Hank Love Show.
If I didn't hear the shows, we had the Electrifying Mojo, we had the Wizard,
like Special Ted,
and
Teddy K.
You guys had Special K and Teddy Ted early on. Special K, Teddy Ted, the Molly Mon Control Show, Hank Love and DNA.
Molly Mon Control came after like Mr.
Magic.
No,
that was Mr. Magic.
Yeah, Mr. Magic.
Molly Mon Control, Chuck Chill Out. You guys had like 10 hip hop shows.
Yeah.
Even at that early date, you guys still had, like 10 shows. Whereas college radio, a lot of college radio at one point in time, it was like all house. Like the house heads and the frat dudes took it over, and for a lot of our
techno derived in Detroit. So
yeah.
And
electro was big though. Electro was big
in Michigan. Which a lot of people don't know.
We had the Wizard, and he played a lot of hip hop. And we had Electrifying Mojo, who played some hip hop, and then there were some college stations that played it. But a lot of times, a lot of what spread across the country really spread because of mixtapes. Shout out to DJ Mars and the mixtape. It was literally like your cousin would record, a show that was on in L.A. Like I remember somebody recorded K-Day. And that was the first time I heard Russ Parr as Bobby Jimmy. I heard Dr. Dre and Arabian Prince on the air on K-Day, I think.
Arabian Prince, wow, yeah.
And and they were playing hip hop and they were playing electro. And I remember, I think maybe it was an L.A. tape that I heard Ice-T. I heard Ice-T with
what was like a freestyle or something?
Nah, I had heard him on Breaking because he did Reckless. Which I always loved that record.
Yeah.
And then I heard him do 6 in the morning. But they didn't play 6 in the morning. I bought 6 in the morning and found out about 6 in the morning because I heard Dog in the Wax.
Do you know what 6 in the morning was inspired by? What record inspired 6 in the morning?
I can't. Off the top of my head, I can't.
Schoolie D, PSK.
That makes sense.
It's the same record.
It's the same record.
It's the same record. And I didn't know this to decades. Like, what's my man used to Reggie Osei, Combat Jack. Ice-T was on Combat Jack, and he said that, and I was like, oh my God, he's right. He was like, that's PSK. He's like, I wanted to make a fucking Blue Lights, LAPD.
This was just more stripped down.
Yeah. But
where versus boom.
Yo, Seji said the most accurate thing about PSK. He's like, because back in the days, records weren't like the reverb thing. It wasn't rocking like that in hip hop records. But PSK was all reverb.
No, it was literally like when the rock records started making records where it was everything was processed.
Yeah, and he said that record PSK sound like everything was exploding. Boom, boom. Yeah, and that's what it was.
Yeah, that's a huge record. Sad thing, you don't hear records like that unless you're at an old school party and somebody's doing an old school set and it's a specific East Coast old school set. People just don't drop that record. You don't even hear people on the radio like talking over that record.
See, and then whenever we talk about PSK too, I like to throw in, the group Susie and the Banshees.
Yeah,
that record "Kiss Them for Me."
Yeah,
it's PSK.
Yeah,
if you listen to if you remember the record. And one time I was out DJing at this spot in Soho, and I played PSK, and the girl was like, it was a girl. She was like, "Oh, that's Susie and the Banshees." I was like, No. This came out in 1984. Susie and the Banshees came out in the 90s, and I showed her. She's like, "Oh my God, yeah, you're right." Listen,
hip hop has had a massive influence on rock.
What? And I love Susie and the Banshees.
It's great. It's just like
for me is one of my favorites. I listen to that all the time.
I love listening to Radiohead. You know what I'm saying? And I can hear the way they use drum sounds, like synthesized drum sounds, the way they use synthesizers, the way they process things.
Yeah.
Like you can tell they listen to everything.
Yeah.
The
whole British invasion in the early 80s, the second wave of it, when like Tears for Fears, Duran Duran. If you listen to Shout, that's a hip hop record, man.
Oh yeah, everybody had a copy of that, and then they came out with Shout Rap.
Yeah. Craig, was it Craig G or Prodigy?
Craig G.
It's Craig G. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Shout was an amazing extended version.
You don't hear. I remember people used to party to that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think one of the most things that was disheartening to me is somebody said you play white records.
Yeah, dude. I don't.
I was like, I don't.
Yeah.
I was like, that was hugely insulting.
Yeah.
Like you think that like, why don't you just, like, where are you? You're in your 40s and you're gonna start calling black music race music.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand why.
I don't get it either, dude. Like, I mean, if you're not into it, please just leave it alone, man.
If you're not into it, that's up to you.
Yeah. But
that's fine. It's fine. If you don't like a record for whatever reason, it's fine. But don't ruin it for everybody else.
Yeah.
Don't make it uncomfortable for everybody else.
Yeah, because once you make me uncomfortable, you're making it uncomfortable for everybody else. Because now I can't really do my job. People are so disrespectful to DJs. It's ridiculous, man.
Yeah, I don't, and I look at it an opposite way. I think there's nothing wrong with making a request.
No, I ain't with that.
You can make a request if you want. No. I think being annoying and making requests is something different. I think being mad that somebody's playing something that you're not comfortable with is your personal individual problem.
But for me, you say you give somebody an inch, they take a mile. When you saying I wouldn't mind you taking a request, make a request, you're giving them that inch, and they're gonna take a mile afterward. Because people just don't know how to respect. Because the art of DJing is not felt like, I mean, it's not given the same as it used to. It's like anybody could now, or they feel like anybody can do it. And
sure,
they don't respect it, man. Just like, I don't know, man. There's just no respect. People just want the instant gratification. Oh, I'm here. That's it. You got to do what I say. And then when I, because I've done this. I say, okay, well, let me play what you want. I play, and then the dance floor
clears out.
And then I'm looking at you like, what happened?
Can't look at them because you're responsible.
Yeah. So then I feel like the idiot. So I said, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just not going to deal with people on that level. You're not going to engage that. No, I'm not. I'm not going to be disrespectful or anything, but I'm just sorry I don't take requests. That's it.
Right. I've done literally, and I don't know if you've seen that, like I'll literally just sit online and take requests from people, but I'll tell people like that's too slow. Or like, that's not gonna fit.
If I'm online and I'm playing for people I know, I'm with it. I could do that.
I do it. I'll play it at a party. If you come up and you play a record, like I may be like I already played that, or that doesn't really go with what's going on right now.
Yeah, online. Yeah, online.
I don't like when people come up and say, play some house music. Everybody's dancing to hip hop, but you want to play house music. I have a serious distaste for people who are like, I'm the greatest DJ in the world. I'm this and I'm that, but you only play one genre of music. It's tough for me.
Yeah.
That you can't that you stick in one category, but you're better than me.
Yeah.
Or that you look at me and then you say, well, that's not what you do. Like when we were all streaming, somebody came at me and basically was like, well, I think of you as a house person, DJ, like, because that's why I know you as a house person. And I'm like, that's completely out of character. Do you know what I mean? Like I play house music, but that doesn't make any sense to me. But I get, like, again, to each his own. I'm not mad at you. I just don't think it makes sense to me or doesn't calculate for me.
So if somebody asked you what type of DJ you were, not skill wise, like format wise, what would you say? What would you feel comfortable?
I don't like to say open format because I feel like that's one of those made up journalist terms. Like constantly separating house and techno and hip hop into different categories. So it would be tough for me to say that. I think I'm somebody that explores music. I think that if you're gonna hang out and you're gonna party and you really want to party, you really want to listen to a bunch of different music and you can enjoy and dance to a lot of different forms of music, then it's comfortable for me and for me to be DJing. If you just want to hear one genre of music, then I'm not really your guy. If you're just looking for a house DJ, I can play house and I do play house, but I play techno, but I'm not that dude. Like am I just a hip hop guy? I'm not. I think it's tough to categorize yourself as a DJ. But I mean, some people do that and then some people don't. But I think that if you don't categorize yourself, you don't necessarily have to call yourself an open format DJ. Because a lot of people that I hear playing open format aren't really playing everything.
Right. I mean, style-wise, when somebody asks me what type of DJ I am, I'm a hip-hop DJ because I DJ from a hip-hop perspective. Like the way I mix records, the way I transition, it's more of a hip-hop style.
It's more hip-hop. You don't need to have, yes, that's true. You don't go, if it's not a cool blend, I can't do this. You'll take a record and go boom, like you're here now.
Yeah.
And that is a hip hop thing to do.
But I could play house music and I do it. I have some favorites, but I
played house before, but I mean, you don't go, I have to make this kind of blend and I have to, sometimes I've heard people spin and they sound like they're playing one complete record.
Yeah.
And I don't enjoy that as much as hearing it go someplace else. Cleanly, smoothly, but I like to hear it immediately go someplace else.
Yeah. So,
like if you playing house and then all of a sudden you start, it turns into disco, I'm not mad.
So with that understood, did you still you wouldn't consider yourself a hip hop DJ?
I would say I'm a hip hop DJ because I don't think I would be DJing if it wasn't for hip hop.
Right. See, and that's my when I was buying records, I was buying hip hop records.
Yeah.
If you go and I do have like R&B and some other stuff and some like European imports from the 80s. I do have some of that stuff too. But my primary record collection is hip hop. Right. So I can't really I have to say I'm a hip hop DJ. But I do love all, not all other genres of music.
Sure. I played I got a lot of hip hop records. I probably have more hip hop records than any other genre.
Right.
I think that's also because I stopped playing records. And then when I got back into it, I just began gathering massive amounts of digital music.
Yeah.
And I've never been afraid to Shazam. Like a lot of DJs are like, you Shazamming me? I was like, no, I will Shazam you. I will record you and then go find the records. I'll ask you what record it is. I have no resistance
that was the reason why I bought my first iPhone.
Right. I have no resistance to finding a good record. I think that's one of the most important things you can do is find new music.
Shazam changed my life, dude. Like once I seen that, I want to say it's the iPhone 2G, the first iPhone, the first iteration of it. One of my colleagues at work had it, and because he knew I was a DJ, so he's like, "Yo, check this out." And he pressed that button, that S. I was like, "Wait," and it told him what the record was. I was like, "I need that, bro."
Yeah,
I need that, bro. I need it. And I bought my first iPhone. That was because they didn't have it on Android at the time anyway. Well, at the time, I wanted an iPhone. So I bought the first iterations, the iPhone 2, and 3G. After that,
So now you're looking for records. Where do you find them?
record pools.
So you pay to be in a record pool?
Oh, I about hit my friend up.
Right. I mean,
I do pay. I pay. Listen, man. Like, and then, I do video stuff now too. So,
Right.
Like, and I was in record pool for over 13 years. I think I got in that record pool in 2007 or 2008, and I've been in that record pool for 14, 15 years, and I get stuff through them. I got my friend that's in franchise. He, he'll hook me up with stuff, that I'm looking for.
What is franchise?
It's Funkmaster Flex record pool.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they have, I think, the Caribbean stuff, like the soca music. He has a decent stuff, a decent collection of that stuff. That's why I kind of really hit them up every now and then. I mean, my girl's from Trinidad, so
yeah.
And I do events for her all the time. So I gotta have that little soca music, and I like it. The soca music is fun. I just can't play it for 5 hours straight.
Right.
I can't do it, dude. Nah, I can't do it. I need to switch up every now and then. And, play 20 minutes of it, 30 minutes, then switch, then come back later. That kind of thing. But
I try to play everything together. And within a BPM range, and then I get out of that BPM range and I play everything together. Like I love when I can play house records. Like you've heard me do it. Like I love playing a house record, like playing 2 Chainz and mixing it with the house record. I love playing, Young Dro and a house record, or playing, a classic hip hop record and playing a trap. I still listen to some trap music. I don't, it's not my favorite.
Yeah.
But there's records. And there are beats that dudes have made in that genre that are just bangers.
Yeah.
That you don't want to deny. But I mean,
I haven't found one or two yet. But I do remember a record you played on one of your sets that I was like, whoa, you played Der Kommissar, the Falco version. This is the other week, other day.
Der Kommissar is a great, and the dude was like, I have the original of that record. I don't need that record. I was like, I love that record.
Yeah.
Because the process, the drums are so much tighter, and it's just like,
yeah. I mean, what?
And it's just a great record.
Yeah. It is. To me, it's hip hop. He's rapping. I mean, I don't know. I love that record.
Der Kommissar. I liked Falco. I liked Clash from the first day I heard the Clash.
Yeah.
I think I had forgotten about This Is Radio Clash. I went to the Earl in Atlanta, and This Is Radio Clash came on. And I was like, wow. I was like, that's one of the best beats ever. That
yeah.
Yeah. Like that's a hip hop record. That's a break.
Yeah.
And he was that dude. Like where, especially the nicer years. Like he was, like, oh, I love hip hop. And I love, Caribbean music.
Yeah.
And different people. And I think people should get together and hang out and explore music.
Right.
And,
that's the way it should be, man.
And that's the way it should be. And I think anytime that it becomes more divisive than that, more categorized than that, I think that's, be sure it benefits journalists because then they know what to call something. And it benefits people who go out looking for records that aren't really out just buying records and buying music or exploring music. They can say, I'm just looking for, Trinidadian soca.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for dancehall records that are influenced by hip hop. I'm just looking for,
But that's the way they got people now. They got people in boxes. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But with that being said, what group are you listening to that you've came across in the past 10 years that you're like, yo, I mess with them. They're pretty dope. I'm taking over your show.
I'd say, the first, I think there's too many to name. I think, Little Brother was a group that I hadn't thought about. People Under the Stairs.
Yeah. Little Brother,
that I grew to like a lot.
Yeah.
Frank and Dank because of the work that they did on. I think I became a fan of theirs because of one record.
Yeah.
You
like Guilty Simpson?
He's okay. I think he sounds like other people.
Who does Guilty sound like?
He sounds a little. And let me think carefully because I'm thinking he sounds a little like Ghost.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Guilty
I
got
like
that raspy voice.
Yeah, it's a big raspy voice.
So he sounds like a big guy. He sounds like, I don't know what he looks like.
You know what? Honestly, Guilty Simpson, I've enjoyed his records. I think I bought the last album he had. Like, I downloaded it and actually paid for it.
Guilty's dope.
He's dope. You know, I got into a lot of rock.
Okay.
As I disassociated from hip hop, and that's what led me into Radiohead and Chevelle, and I really dug whatchamacallit, the Yeah Yeah Yeahs when they came out. I thought that was dope. I thought their video was dope. I've always liked Smashing Pumpkins, but when they came out with their anthology, I think I revisited all of their albums.
Right.
Housewise, like there's so much stuff that comes out that's one off sometimes. I think, Amon Tobin is dope, and I think that Asalande has put out some great records, and I've heard a lot of Afrobeat records that I really thought were cool. Some of Kevin Saunderson stuff he's come out with more recently is pretty cool. I've always liked the way he played with hi-hats. Everything Juan has done, minus one or two records, I thought was pretty incredible. So I've always been a big fan of Juan's music.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I've always been a big fan of Kevin's music. There's a guy here, Kai Alce, that puts a lot of records out, and I've liked a lot of the records that he's put out.
Dude, you ain't say no Jay Dilla, man.
Well, I mean, you know what? I've liked Dilla's albums. The later part of Dilla, I think I got into more, like I said, when he was doing the stuff with Frank and Dank, when he did the stuff with Mad Villain, Donuts, all of that stuff I enjoyed more. I like a lot of the records that my man House Shoes has put out.
I didn't know House Shoes was connected with so much music. Yeah. I did not know.
House Shoes, Street Corner Music has put out a lot of good records.
I did not know. Yeah.
DJ Los has produced a lot of stuff.
Props to House Shoes, man. Yeah,
that's come out, and they, I get records from them, all the time. I get a lot of records from DJ 279 because he's in a lot of record pools and groups, and he stays on people's lists. So I get hip to a lot of stuff through 279 over in London.
Right. And that's crazy. You got to go outside to come back in.
Sometimes, because
they ear to the street is incredible right now.
Sometimes I listen overseas just because they have different mixes and different stuff. Like I think I discovered I bought the Biggie Smalls James Brown album from Criminal Records here, and I bought the Wu-Tang and De La Soul records. No. I bought the De La Soul record here, and then I went online and I found the Biggie Smalls record. No, the Biggie Smalls record, I did get it there. I found another Wu-Tang record, which is Wu-Tang Gold.
I think you dropped that in the folder.
And that's just a good album. It's like it's Jimi Hendrix samples.
Yes.
And it's Jimi Hendrix interviews broken up, and it has Wu-Tang involved in there. And I really just thought that was dope. Like some of the beats the way he flipped it, that dude's really dope. But I stumbled upon that. I went to a record store and was flipping through records. I bought one record. I looked up that record. That record led me to another record. The actual search algorithm sometimes can benefit you.
Oh,
it can hurt
definitely.
you, but sometimes they can benefit you, and you end up discovering like whole new veins of music. And there's so many people out there, man, that have that luxury that we don't necessarily have. They can sit at home and they can work on beats. And I don't know how much time you spend on production now, but the technology
not much. But I will say, from I want to say 2005 to like 2008, dude, I was all in. Like I discovered Reason, the program.
Yeah.
And that was it. I just went into a cocoon, bro. And I did like maybe over 100 beats and within a couple of years. And I still have them, but it was just amazing.
Have you ever thought of just doing a whole set where you just play all your beats, play through all your tracks?
Yeah. I did like 2 little albums, dude. Like one was called Flying Faders, and the other one I can't remember. It was like me and a friend of mine's Woody, his brother Amon. He from Chicago. He's the one who actually put me on to Reason, because I would hear his stuff through Woody, and Woody would be like, I was like, yo, how your brother does this? He's like, he does it with a computer. I'm like, no. He doesn't have an MPC? He's like, nah. He has just a little Dell PC or something. I was like, yo, you got to connect me with him. I get him on the phone. I'm like, yo, how did you do this? He's like, I used a program called Reason. That was it, dude. Once I found that out, got into it and figured out how to like set up modules and it had the rewire thing in the back. It was just like really having a rack and all these different machines. Like, you know, you had sequencers and beat machines. You could play out pads where you could get like a Kai MPD.
Yeah, like a little mobile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could bang out beats. That thing was amazing, man.
What stopped you? What distracted you from that?
What stopped me? I had to get back to work. I had to get a job, dude. I had to get a job. So yeah, I needed to get back to work, man. I mean, it was fun. I had a nice little run, you know, when I want to say what they call it when the stock market crashed and they were giving like extensions on the unemployment, and I was DJing at one time. So I was doing my thing. I was DJing 5 nights a week, getting unemployment. I was good, you know what I mean? But then after a while I was like, listen, I gotta get back to work. You know what I mean?
Could you have survived without going back to work?
I mean, the unemployment was going to stop at some point, so no.
Yeah. Okay. So without the unemployment,
Yeah, the unemployment
without that
was,
subsidy,
yeah.
you couldn't have just upped your DJ rates, or
Yeah, I could have, but I was in a groove right there. I was in a groove. I was spinning at maybe 4 different spots 1 week, 5. I had a nice run, but I was like, listen, I have a set of skills. I need to put these skills into use. Let me get back to this IT stuff, and yeah, I had to go back eventually, but I had a ton of fun, bro. A ton of fun. I even rapped on a couple of joints, you know, like it's.
So you said you had an album. Did you release it, and where'd you release it to?
Well, it was just amongst friends. You know, we had like a little record release thing at this local bar that when I used to hang out, and you know, people come through, yo, and you know, I just give it to them or whatever. It was nothing really huge, but you know, I did something. You know, we had a little album cover, and it was.
Yeah, no, it's better. I mean, did you press it up?
No, we didn't press it up. It was all digital, but it was fun. We did like a double. Me and Amun did like a double album. Like it was all his beats on one, and the other was mine. And yeah, he was amazing. He was amazing. He would take like Nigerian records and chop them up. His thing was just so off kilter, but so dope. So dope. He was inspirational to me for that. And he was a younger cat.
Yeah.
You know, a young dude. And I was like, how are you doing this?
How hard is that to take cues from somebody that's younger than you in the game?
If you got it, bro.
Yeah.
I don't have no problem with that. Like one of my best friends that, you know, I met him DJing.
Right.
I walked up to him and told him, yo, you the man. My boy Soundwave. Soundwave, if you out there listening, you remember this. You know, like I walked up to him because he was just that dope. Still to this day. You know, we thick as thieves. And he is one of the dopest DJs I listen to.
Where is it? Where do you hear him?
Well, he's on Twitch. Soundwave the Batman. DJ Soundwave was on Twitch.
Okay.
You know, he just does his thing, man. He's a official music guy. You can't listen to him and feel like he's gonna just play whatever you think is hits. He plays album cuts. He plays whatever he likes, and he's a ill reggae DJ. Like he is one of the dudes where I listen to him and I'm like, yo, because he plays it like a hip hop person. So, and he knows the rhythms and how to flip the records. Like, so he plays it like a reggae DJ is supposed to, but
right.
with a hip hop flair and swag. Amazing. One of the best DJs I've ever, that I know.
DJ Sound, what is his name?
Soundwave the Batman.
Soundwave the Batman. You guys should follow him.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to follow him. Soundwave the Batman. I'm going to look him up on Twitch so I can listen.
Yeah, he's pretty dope, man.
So how did you end up shooting? Like you DJing is one thing.
Yeah,
how did you end up shooting?
I think there's just another part of the creative process. You know, like I used to always buy little point and shoot cameras, you know, back in the days, and just go out and like shoot murals and stuff like that. But at some point, like during the pandemic, I was like, you know, I need to get up and get out because I'm not sitting in the house all day.
Right.
So I said, let me go. I bought a little Canon T3i, and I would get up and just walk. I take the train downtown and walk across bridges, you know, and anywhere I could in New York. It was just crazy because nobody was outside.
Right. So it's
and
totally different.
Right.
It's totally different environment when nobody is moving around New York.
Yeah.
That may be one of the only times that New York probably felt de-energized.
Dude, it was ridiculous. I will walk up 42nd Street and see just people on the side of the streets taking pictures, women with furs on, with their furs open, with their breasts out. It was just weird, bro. Everything was a photo op. It was like the whole 42nd Street was a photo op. You just walk up and down the street and you see people doing the weirdest things because nobody was around. So I would just document what was going on in New York. And I live in Harlem, so, Harlem was the brunt of it. But I would sometimes go out to Brooklyn, sometimes head down to Chinatown. And all
How many
these
photos did you take?
number. I mean, it had to be thousands, man. I mean,
Why haven't you put a book together yet?
I don't know, bro. Maybe it's not ready yet because it's still new. You know what I mean? It's a dude named Jamal Shabazz. Check him out. He's like a famous New York photographer. This dude got photos from like the 70s, the 80s, and his stuff is just amazing, bro. Because you could see the girls,
Right. It captures the moment, but
Yeah,
but you've captured yet another moment.
Right.
You captured the interruption of the city that never sleeps.
Yeah,
while
but
it was asleep.
I just don't think it's ready yet. I think I got another year or two before I break. People still wearing masks, so it's like it won't look like anything.
I don't know if people will ever stop wearing masks.
Yeah, because I still carry one.
I don't know that it's going to stop. Like, I think people really allow themselves to believe that this wasn't going to become endemic. Like that this wasn't going to be a part of our culture moving forward.
Dude,
no virus ever really truly goes away.
No, it doesn't.
So this is just something that
it doesn't.
that this is just a new factor in our day-to-day lives.
Right.
It bothers me that job for job, place for place, people are testing. I tell Heidi this, and I think I may have said it to you. You're testing for COVID, but you're not testing for the flu. You're not testing for all these other things that, you know what I'm saying, that exist. You're only testing for that. So it's kind of weird. It's like because of this, I would think that our major investment would be in some type of broad spectrum testing so that you could see like, oh, this person just came in the country, but he's got this particular pathogen. We need to isolate him and figure out what that pathogen is. We need, these people are coming to work. This guy's sick. We don't know what it is, but he's sick. Let's hold him out for a couple of days and figure out what that is so we can, continue working without having a small breakout, at our gig. I was really confused as to why that didn't become a thing. That wasn't it's kind of like, right now we don't have batteries. Why isn't there like a battery space race inside of the United States to figure out some other precious metal or some other materials to use for batteries? Because if we don't have, what is it that they own the market on it. There's a specific metal that you have to have for batteries.
Right.
And if you don't have that rare metal for batteries, it's extremely hard to produce batteries. And there's certain companies that have essentially a market hold on it. So yeah, I was always like if we have to have cobalt, if we got to have this metal that we only have lithium, like if there's only so much lithium, if there's only so much, nickel, if there's only so much this or that, how is it that we're going to be able to sustain this? Like we'll eventually burn through that. And then what? We have no batteries? Like, are we really working towards a solution, or are we simply trying to make money out of the scarcity until there is no more, until it's exhausted? And then where does that leave us? Or do they know something we don't know?
They always know something we don't know. And second, they're never working for a solution. The solution is who can get paid. In my neighborhood, we're not talking about batteries. I'm talking back to COVID. There's small mom and pop pharmacies popping up on every other block. That is the one industry that is bubbling in I don't know about anywhere else. But in New York City, in Harlem, there's like every other block there's a pharmacy.
And are these like mainstream pharmacies, or are these like, Chinese apothecaries? Are these like health food stores? Are these
No,
is
no,
this
these-
CVS slash Walgreens slash?
They're okay. If CVS is like the top, they're under CVS, but these are legit pharmacies. You know what I
Right.
mean? They sell whatever that these other
Why are they
CVS sell.
Why are they so widespread?
Because somebody's getting paid. Somebody there's money
There's
to
money
be
in
made.
that. Sure.
Right.
There's
And
money in that.
that's what I'm saying. I don't know why, but there's money in that. I mean, everything is in place. You can go buy your antigen tests at whatever place you need to buy them from. You can buy your COVID pills from wherever you need to buy them from. Everything you need, mask you can buy. So there is a business there, and I'm pretty sure with batteries they'll figure that out too.
Yeah, I mean, at
Yeah,
some point in
yeah,
time, yeah.
yeah,
It's
they'll
at some
figure
point in
that out,
time.
too.
At some point in time, it
Yeah.
just it's something else. What have you? So you haven't done anything with that stuff. You were shooting some portraits for people. I remember that.
Oh yeah, that was fun. Like I started off with shooting portraits of my girlfriend. That was how it started for me. And I'm like, this is pretty cool. Like, you could sit somebody down. And my thing is with if you check me out on Instagram, I am all about making people look good. Whatever. When I say look good, I mean I don't want nobody looking bad in front of my lens. You know what I mean? I'm not
Right.
I'm not into that. I'm not into that.
So no homeless.
No, I don't. I
No,
don't
you
do
don't
none
do.
of that.
You don't do.
Yeah.
And you don't do.
Yeah.
How do we call it? Urban decay and and they call it ruin porn, where you go to different parts of the city and you see buildings collapsing and.
I mean, you could do that, but you don't have to. It don't have to be like nasty. You know what I mean? Some people are just like up front and just kind of nasty with it, and some people have privilege to do stuff like that too. Like I don't catch guys on the corner with guns and all kind of, because I know photographers that's their thing, which is fine. But that's just not me. You know what
But
I
then
mean?
if that guy was to go shoot somebody 2 days later and be famous for it, and because it's City
Yeah.
of God-esque,
Yeah.
that becomes the dude. That's
Yeah.
the big problem.
But
But
it's-
you're the
and-
guy
and-
who took the picture that became something that forwarded that.
Right. But it's weird who gets that access. I couldn't get that access. They would look at me like I'm crazy. What are you doing? Nah, you ain't
Don't
got-
take a picture of me.
Yeah.
But if another person came and shot a picture of you,
Right.
then they'd be like, they'd throw the gun up and
Right, but that won't be me. You know what I mean? You can't do that. But it could be anybody. It could be somebody else. It won't be me. And you know what I'm saying?
Right, sure.
So it is that I find that weird. The only reason because I've experienced it because there's a bunch of guys that live in the neighborhood that ride motorcycles and they they do their wheelies and all that. So I like that kind of stuff. So I would hey let me shoot y'all. Yo, how much we getting paid? I'm like, you're not getting paid anything. Long story short, I see them, getting shot by other people. And it's like, oh, word? And they ain't pay you either. Like, I don't...
What do you think that is? They figure that the other pictures are going somewhere and yours aren't. So if they're going to waste their time doing it.
Only
they're doing
thing I
it.
can see is that I'm black and the person who shot them was white.
How often does that happen in terms of
I
other
mean,
other
and
genres?
I'm not getting paid from this either. I'm doing this all from love. Like I do the CRCA. That's a local cycling organization.
Yeah.
And I go out on weekends and I shoot them. I love going there. Great people, and I go and I shoot photographs. You know what I mean? I'm into the sport of cycling.
Right.
It's all good. Nobody cares. They'll hit me up. Hey Todd, you got that photo of me? Yeah. Boom.
So you put all this stuff somewhere? Where do you put it?
Yeah, well, I'm mostly on IG. I throw stuff on IG
Right.
every.
The question, I guess, is like, do you create catalogs of this that people can go see?
That's what I need to work on. I'm not gonna lie. I'm trying to figure this out and create a website where I can go and take all of my content. Right now, I'm just because I'm forever learning with the photography part.
Right. It's a challenge.
Yo, so every time I can get up and go out to shoot, I shoot. So but yeah, I need to figure out a way I could catalog this stuff a lot better and get it up in a place where people could really appreciate it, because Instagram is not really the place because you don't get full detail in your images. It's much more to be seen. Yeah,
it's compressed, and then it's it doesn't really. It also doesn't lend itself to twisting your camera. Like you throw your camera in a 16:9 mode, it doesn't rotate and spin out and look good.
And what they're doing with Instagram now, they're going to start making it in the portrait mode, everything, because you know how you do the Instagram reels and portrait. So now they're going to have you doing pictures what's that orientation.
I don't understand that because you only pick up part of the frame. Like if I took a picture of this room, I would only be pictured. I can hold the picture like this, but I'm only seeing you.
Yeah.
When I take a picture of the room, I would have to rotate.
But it's about their algorithm and how their thing is set up. People are conditioned now to see things like that. Me and you, I always when I start photography, I go like this first, and then I go like this.
Sure.
It's natural for me to pick up a camera and go like this. Now everybody is like this because think about it. Phones, you go like this, and that's where all the content is coming from. Phones.
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
But yeah, I wonder if they'll start.
See.
I wonder if that'll ever leak into television or movies.
I hope not. Because I don't know. I don't like the long way, yo.
The portrait looks weird.
Yeah, I don't.
Why
I don't
did
like
you
it.
So you started off with Canon, but why did you switch up to the to Sony?
Okay, because the Canon T3i was a great camera, but it was a crop sensor camera. APS-C is what they call it. So if you know the history on Sony was like the first of the mirrorless brands because Minolta, they came out with mirrorless cameras first, and people thought of them as toys. But Sony seen what they were doing, so he's like, no, and they wound up buying Minolta. You see, there's no
more Minolta.
No, it's this.
Yeah,
they took that technology, evolved it, and at one point, Canon is always, but now Canon is like this, and Sony's like this. Why? Because they thought these mirrorless cameras were toys. It's like, this stuff is not going to survive. It's going to pass, just like hip hop. And now these things are where it's at.
Right. And you get the smaller ones, and you put a smaller lens on it. You can whip it out of your camera and take a picture in 5 seconds. You can almost get a camera that's mirrorless and shoot as fast as you can with an iPhone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And for me, like once I started shooting with cameras, with big cameras, I can't even shoot with an iPhone anymore. And these are sick cameras on these Android phones. Like,
sure.
They have this thing they call it the scumbag cam, where you could take a picture of somebody in a window over there. It's like 100 times zoom. It's ridiculous, but the detail is not there. Look at this is the lens.
Right.
Go like
There's not
this.
enough glass.
You can't see like if you can't compare to this.
Right. It's full size sensor.
Yeah, that's a full size. That's what they make movies with, And it's funny because 35 millimeter. This is a full frame. 35 millimeter is actually smaller. So this you can't compare like the detail you would get in one of these as opposed to. And
you could buy that quicker than you could buy a Hasselblad, which is
Yeah, and Hasselblads are amazing. Those are full like what they call it full media or something like. But they have bigger sensors than that. The Hasselblads.
Huge sensors.
Yeah, huge. They call it medium format. That's what they call it. It's called medium format. Amazing cameras. Like I've seen stuff like the Hasselblads. But I that's too much for me.
I mean, if you're shooting a billboard.
Yeah.
But that means then you can afford then you can budget for lenses and a camera, and you can.
Yeah,
and you get an assistant, and you can. It's kind of like me doing the show. It's like I'm at this point in this stage of the game. I'm the only one doing the show. So if I'm 15 minutes late because I'm experimenting around with something or I changed something or whatever, I'm figuring something out, it's all on me. But once you get into a professional level, they're paying you a larger amount of money, but that money is supposed to be spent on giving you the resources so that it moves fluidly.
Dude, that's why I've started getting into the portrait work, because not only do I like it, it's like it's a way to subsidize, because this stuff ain't cheap.
No, it's a hell of a golf. Golf requires clubs, and you got to join a club, and you need balls, and and lessons if you're going to get better. And cameras are the same sort of thing. I think music is the same sort of thing. You got to get plugins, you got to get sounds, you've got to pay for the software. It's an expensive habit.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to meet people that are interested in my work and will give me that shot. Hey, let's do it. Like I've done a couple of schools. I've done their shots for their teachers.
Yeah.
And I'm also doing the graduating class of one of the schools that I work at.
Oh, that's huge.
So yeah, that's huge, dude. That's huge.
What about glass? Like, what is your favorite glass to use? Are you a telephoto person, or do you like primes? Do you? See, this is a zoom. This is my Tamron 17 to 28.
Uh, this I would take out with me on a day like this where I don't know where I'm going to be.
Yeah.
But I also like primes too. Like, let me show. I have another lens here. This Sony 55. This little Sony 55 millimeter right here is probably one of the sharpest lenses I own. It's this little Zeiss Prime. It's an amazing lens, and this is like the more telephoto. So if I'm going out doing street stuff, I would take something like this, or even an 85 millimeter, because I can be far away.
Yeah.
And capture what I want.
Right.
Like we're here. So I was telling you about that the Ferris wheel downstairs. I'm gonna need this 17 millimeter
To get what you really want out of it.
to get what I really want from that.
Sure.
So I mean, I like them both. I like them both. There's one lens. It's a 35 millimeter Rokinon. It's a pretty budget lens. 35 millimeter 1.4 Rokinon, and the early morning, the blue hour shots that I get from that thing, wide open, they look like, I don't know, the pictures, the way it renders is amazing. The colors, Jesus Christ, dude. I love it.
What software do you use to process most of your stuff?
I use Lightroom and a little bit of Photoshop and another program called Luminar.
Did you do a lot of like Lightroom tutorials, or did you just basically start playing with it?
Jesus Christ. Dude, I sit at home. My girlfriend could attest to this.
Sure.
I watch YouTube videos when I get out of work, that's all I do. As I watch camera videos and to a point where I'm like learning through osmosis. You know what I mean? I'm just there, just on my computer, and stuff is just coming to me. And I'm like,
and you hear something, you go, oh,
yes.
And you remember it, and then you can recall and bring it up later.
Exactly. YouTube is an amazing resource. That's why. And one of the things that hip hop has taught me is that you can do what you want. You know what I mean?
Right.
You could, with a little work, you can do it.
Yeah.
Hip hop has always been like that for me. So that's another thing that hip hop.
If you practice, if you're going to be a turntablist, if you sit there
you go.
and you go, chip, 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 chip,
Yep.
you'll be slow. Maybe your hand is going to be slow and uncoordinated, but if you do it day after day after day after day
You
after
put
day
those 10,000 hours in or whatever it is, you're going to be that dude.
Yeah.
So that's what another thing that was great about
watching DJ Ace be
Yeah.
a cop. You know, you watch it and you're like, who's that cop DJ? And you're like, DJ Ace.
Yeah.
Like, I know who that guy is.
That dude, he's amazing, bro.
Oh, he's nice.
He is premier live. You know what I mean? He'll do any record from back in the days that has scratching in it. He'll do it live. Boom.
Right.
And you like, yo.
It's practice.
Yeah.
Which is tough. Now, is that, and that's, we were talking about how that affects relationships. Because if you're into any type of creative art,
yep,
it consumes massive amounts of time.
Yeah. Yep.
Even just thinking. Like, I don't know if you watched it, Dave Chappelle's first episode, he had him like, it was Morgan Freeman was narrating it, and he was like, that's Dave Chappelle working. And he was just basically sitting at a table outside smoking a cigarette, thinking.
Yeah.
They talked about that again in Richard Pryor's documentary, I think, that you have this massive amount of time that you need to kind of coagulate or to kind of congeal ideas that you actually use to observe.
Yes.
I know when I did stand up intermittently, I always it would take an entire day. Like, I would be reading the newspaper, going online, and I would write everything that day. Whereas most people, there's a lot of people who work on sets.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be my set, and this is what I did last time, so I'm going to tweak it, I'm going to change it, I'm going to do it this time. Like me, I was like, no, people didn't come to hear me say the same thing again. And I don't know if I'm going to nail it the same way. I can't do mixes over and over again. Like, some people have like a set or routine.
Yeah.
I've never been like a routine or repeat person.
I got a couple of them that I do.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah.
When
I'm at parties, it's certain ones that I could do. I'll give you one. It's Don't Stop Till You Get Enough.
That's a crazy record. That Michael Jackson record, is it?
Don't Stop Till You Get Enough into a Thriller. Like the break where it was woo. I can't remember, but it's a couple of them I do. I have one with what's the record? Blow the Whistle and Jay-Z, It's About to Go Down.
Yeah.
It's I have a couple of them.
I love the fact that Too Short's been able to be Too Short his entire career.
Yeah, Too Short.
He didn't. No, I mean seriously. Like you listen to Jay-Z, and he's adopted and modified and adapted a lot. He's adopted a lot of different styles. He's integrated other people's stuff into it. Too Short is basically like the same Too Short you heard.
Yeah.
On Freaky Tales. It's the same Too Short.
Yeah,
Blow
right.
the Whistle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But he's gotten a lot better. I kind of, I wasn't. Were you into Too Short? Like,
You know what? Right at the beginning, I wasn't because it was so slow. Like his beats were doom 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 doom. My brother used to love Too Short. I didn't get into it at first, but over time, I've gotten more into what he's done. And I thought, also I think there's more people doing rap that's not that, dynamic.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's been people who have had kind of a more laid back style that we have learned to adapt to. We didn't. It wasn't initially. It wasn't my thing. You know what I'm saying? To listen to that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's also, I don't know that I liked rap as much until I heard Run DMC because I liked the punchiness of Run DMC. Like there was like records that were party records, but when I heard Run DMC, there was something about, I still remember hearing Here We Go and the way that they rocked the mic and Here We Go. There was just something that was slightly different about them and Busy Bee party tapes.
Yeah,
I see that you see the direct connection.
Yeah.
But there was just something different about the way that they did it.
Right. Favorite non-popular or not so popular Run DMC song?
5 to Go First.
I mean, Here We Go was not
Here We
popular.
Go was great, but there was also the record. It was a Jam Master Jay record off the third album.
Jam Master Jammin'?
No, that was too slow for me. The one that went. Man, what was that record called? I played it the other day because it had that.
Oh, you saying it? It's Daryl and Joe.
Yeah, Daryl and Joe.
That's it.
Was probably my favorite non-popular because I played it at a party one time and everybody had a look on their face.
Like, that had nothing to do with Jam Master Jay though.
No, but it didn't have anything to do with Jam Master.
Yeah,
I guess
that's why you
threw
threw me off. That's why you threw me off.
I guess it was just because Daryl and Joe was my favorite. Non-popular Run DMC song. It's just like my favorite. Who's your favorite non-mainstream Public Enemy record?
My Uzi Weighs a Ton.
Yeah, Uzi Weighs a Ton. That's an inarguable classic though. For me, War 33 and Third, not really live. I'd rather do it at 45. Was a great War 33 and Third was a great record.
But My Uzi Weighs a Ton wasn't a huge record.
It wasn't a huge record because they weren't huge yet. I think they broke. My Uzi Weighs a Ton was a big record, and the East. It was a big record. It was a big record on the East Coast. But I think that album blew up because of 98 and because of Rebel Without a Pause.
Yeah, Rebel Without a Pause, easy. 98
and then they came out with...
The second album was the one that launched them.
But when they came out, because after that album, they got on the Less Than Zero soundtrack.
Yep.
And they did, whatchamacallit?
Bring the Noise.
Bring the Noise. Yeah. And I was like, that record, the way it was used in that soundtrack, the fact that was the first rap label to have a soundtrack.
Yeah. Bring the Noise was dope. Yeah.
And that album, just as an aside, that Hazy Shade of Winter remix makes my hair stand up on my back. Like it was just, the Bengals were dope.
Yeah.
And I still remember
Hazy Shade of Winter.
Wasn't that the lady from the Bengals that was on there was like a show about people who had been big and they were like all together. And Brat was like, "You're a has-been," and she was talking to. I think she was
Brat the rapper.
The girl, yeah, she was talking either about. The
I don't watch those reality
shows.
From
it was a girl from the Bengals, or it was a girl from the other group that made Walk Like an Egyptian.
It's the Bengals.
Yeah, that was the same group. Yeah,
Bananarama.
No, it was a girl. It's the one with the short hair from the Bengals, I think, and I think they were on the show together. And I was like, I was a huge Bengals. Like
Hazy-
they had
Hazy Shade of
huge,
Winter,
like,
bro.
huge records. Hazy Shade of Winter. I mean, I like the original, but the way they redid it,
Yeah.
just the energy of it.
Yeah.
That plus that movie was bananas, dude. Just you know, you come back home and you're a student, and then you get with your ex-girlfriend, and everybody's like coked out and insane, and then one of your dudes has become basically what's his name? Who's an amazing actor.
Robert
Ultron.
Downey?
Huh?
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. was in that. What's his name was in it as well? Ultron. Dude from
Blacklist.
from the Blacklist.
He was in that too.
He was the drug dealer.
I gotta watch it.
He was dude. He's one of the dopest actors of our time on the sneak.
Wow. Okay. I gotta
Dude
watch
from
it.
Blacklist, he's dope, dude. Like he also did that weird movie where it was him and the secretary, and he was the S&M stuff. It was weird, but it just that Robert Downey Jr. is pretty incredible. Dude.
Yeah.
As just the broad range of stuff that he's done over the years. It's just like
He's like a white version of like Forrest Whitaker. Like Forrest Whitaker's that kind of guy for me.
He's something else. Like Robert Downey Jr. is one of those dudes. He's our generation's man, what is my man's name that played Inspector Clouseau? Peter Sellers. To some degree, he's our generation's Peter Sellers.
I don't.
Peter Sellers is a lot. Like, did you ever see Being There? This dude who was like mentally challenged that became like they were trying to make him into a senator. Like he would talk to people and say simple things. They'd be like, "He's a genius."
Nah.
Oh yeah, it's
an old movie.
Yeah, and then Peter Sellers did Doctor Strangelove, and he was like 3 characters in Doctor Strangelove at the same time. Like Robert Downey Jr. is that level. Of
Okay, when I say he's like our version of Forrest Whitaker, Forrest Whitaker has range. Forrest Whitaker has range.
He's incredibly talented.
Yeah, he has range.
That Idi Amin movie was bananas.
What's the joint with the wait?
Did you see Repo Man with him and was it Colin Farrell? No, it was him and Jude Law.
What's the movie with the surprise ending? Crying Game.
Yeah, that was.
He was in it.
Yeah.
Yo, come on, dude.
Yeah.
You gotta. And he didn't seem out of place.
No, he wasn't out of place.
That's the mark of a great actor, man.
He wasn't out of place. He
didn't seem out of place.
He's super talented. Yeah, he's iconic because he's been in everything that we've watched since Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yep. Fast Times,
and that's
was Kevin Spacey in Fast? I think he was. He had a little role.
Kevin Spacey was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I think he had a little role.
I don't remember Kevin Spacey before Swimming with Sharks and American
But he
Beauty.
didn't have. It was not a speaking role. It's like
like he was in the background.
Yeah, in the background.
He was like
yeah,
man. Kevin Spacey's dope for all of his problems and his disturbing nature.
What's the other one? Francis Ford Coppola's nephew.
Nicolas Cage.
It's either him or is Kevin Spacey or Nicolas Cage is in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, like a little role in the back.
I mean, Fast Times at Ridgemont High was our American Graffiti.
Yeah, Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
And all those movies, honestly.
That's Spicoli, the one with Spicoli?
Yeah. The thing about that movie is that movie had black people in it. All those Chicago movies, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Breakfast Club.
Yeah, they didn't have
no people of color unless it was like.
Yeah, it was no black people.
A joke.
Even though that. Don't you forget about me. Yo, that was, man, listen.
They had great, great soundtracks.
Yeah.
And I got friends that cut their teeth on those movies. They're older than me and they work in film and they were camera operators and stuff like that. And that was their introduction to filmmaking. And that's where they started out. Like a buddy of mine was a film. One guy was a PA. One guy was that was his first second AC job.
So you got to say, okay, PA, AC. I know what they mean.
He's a production assistant. The second AC is the guy, not the guy that pulls focus, the guy that organizes just switches lenses and brings them in and out and works in the camera department.
And that's crazy because, like, with me, with this, I mean, there is no AC.
Yeah, but big photographers have their camera assistants and, bring me this.
Yeah,
and then they run out and they, but when you don't have those budgets and you don't have that.
Right. I mean, and it's a great entry level to stuff like that. I've done a couple of things. Like I worked on a small web series called Story to Tell with Racklow, aka the Polo. You ever heard of the Low Lives?
Yeah.
AKA the Polo Godfather. He's one of those dudes. He's been into that thing for Adine. Adine means a long time.
Yeah.
It's Brooklyn slang. And I've done things with him, and it's amazing what you could do with these cameras, dude.
Yeah, right now, I mean, honestly,
Amazing.
If you can write a great story,
Yeah.
you can shoot a great story, and if you can shoot a great story, you can cut it together, and you can make a movie that impacts people.
Yeah.
And it just feels like a hurdle. Just like when you're writing a screenplay, it feels like a hurdle. How do I get from this point to the last page, and does it matter what happens in the course of the story? And if you're thinking about does it matter, then you're kind of on the right path.
Yeah.
It's just like if you're a great MC, does what I'm saying really matter?
Right.
Not just to me, but to everybody. And if a 12-year-old in Cleveland hears it, and a 24-year-old in Nigeria hears it, and a 40-year-old in Korea hears it, do they all get the same message from this?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Aside from, whatever their personal experiences. And I think that, if you can do that, that's kind of the thing of writing. I think I went to McKee's class, the guy who wrote the book Story, and he said it himself. He's like, if you want to see great storytelling, look at rap. He's like, people take the language and wrap it around a story with an actual message in the story, and they go from one point to the end with having an actual point at the end, then have a payoff at the end. And when you can do that, and he's talking about people like Slick Rick, like Snoop, like who can tell you a start to finish story and leave you somewhere. Andre and Big Boy have done that on occasion. Run DMC did that back in the early first 3 or 4 albums that they were on. Large Professor to some degree with, when you listen to stuff like Looking at the Front Door.
Yeah.
It's, it's
From
hard.
the game of baseball.
Yeah. It's hard to do that. It's hard to just not just be abstract and just rap.
Yeah.
And when you can do that, you're doing something special. And you're doing great storytelling, because great storytelling is taking people
I guess
somewhere.
in the storytelling context, yeah. But would you feel like De La Soul's first album? I love De La, and I think growing up in that area of the world, I kind of knew what they were talking about, the story that they were telling. But
I think everybody did. I think.
Okay,
I don't. And I think this is the thing.
Some people don't really consider them storytellers or anything.
Well, no, they are. And here's the thing about that era and about that timeline. I think people articulated themselves clearly. Lord Finesse is a kid from the Bronx with a high school education that was able to make an album that start to finish, everybody knew what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Minus 2 or 3 slang words. I think that's true for a lot of people. I think that was true for a lot of people on the West Coast. I think you had a lot of smart people in hip hop up to and I'm not calling anybody dumb.
Yeah.
I'm saying you had a lot of people that read. It takes a lot to bring books and comic books and movies and old music into a conversation and weave it into a conversation and be able to have a conversation with somebody, and you're really the only side of the conversation. You're essentially Rush Limbaugh. People are buying your record, and they're listening to you talk at them about something, and you're picking up what you're picking up from it.
Right.
That's a talent. Whether, you can hate Rush Limbaugh, you know what I'm saying, but he is one of the best talk talents in the history of broadcasting.
Is he still around?
No, he's dead.
Wow.
There's something special about Howard Stern. There's something special about being able to step out on a branch and jump up and down on it and be like, it's not gonna break. Every day. You know what I'm saying? And it's partially probably privilege, and it's partially talent that it hasn't broken.
I think privilege has a lot to do
And
with
privilege has a lot to do with it. Luck has a lot to do with it, because timing has a lot to do with it. If you said some of the things that he said, and you were on his level of broadcast celebrity, you probably would not have a career the next day.
Yeah, yeah. And if he said those things now, I mean, when
some of the things that we heard when we were younger, that he
yeah.
said when we used to listen to tapes of him because he wasn't syndicated all over the country yet. I don't know.
Just think about movies like Blazing Saddles.
You couldn't make Blazing Saddles today. If you made Blazing Saddles today, people would be so mad. Across the board. Everybody would be mad at you. Everybody would want you dead. Blazing Saddles is one of the greatest American films. Like, there are people who work with me that are 20, 22, and I tell them all the time, it's like, you never watched Blazing Saddles? I was like, go wherever you have to go, even if you have to call Amazon and have them send you a copy of Blazing Saddles, and watch Blazing Saddles. Blazing Saddles is one of the funniest things ever to be put on film. The race, because it didn't come from a place of racism. It came from a place of, this is the reality of how some people are, and sometimes it's funny. And sometimes, I'm going to be honest, sometimes people have said some really caustic, nasty things around me, and I've laughed, because it's honestly, it's like if you're a big fat baby and you're calling me, what I'm saying, you're calling people names and you're just being a jerk, you just laugh. It's like, you're a powerless human being seeking power from making other people smaller than you, but you make yourself small by saying those things.
Yeah.
And I just laugh, and I was like,
that's huge in American culture, man.
And that's weak.
You got to put your foot on somebody's neck, right?
Somebody's got to somebody in America. It seems that somebody has to trip and fall for you to get a laugh out of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, and you may laugh, but the thing is, when you laugh and how you laugh and how much you laugh. Like, somebody was really mad because I said I made the black on black crime thing with the Will Smith thing happen.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is a stupid headline. This is dumb for you to say that. That was ignorant. A couple people said that, and I just was like, no. And in the moment, it's funny. But the reality of it is, it's this tragic situation where everything got out of control for a moment. And it's in a moment when, for years, we've been saying that we need to be more integrated into the highest levels of entertainment. And then at this moment, this is what happened. Like, once we kind of got that happen, I felt bad for all the people who were writers, producers, because everything became about that moment.
Yeah.
And that's in
whatever awards that were given, nobody cared.
Yeah, nobody remembers. That's a dude who's a hip hop drummer and founder of a legendary rap group, got an Academy Award for digging up footage of a lost festival. That none of us can say, like, oh, I remember that. None of us really honestly can remember that. Us.
Yeah.
There are people who were there, who went,
not us.
But none of us remember that. And so it was this amazing moment. Like, I remember watching it. So I'm sitting in the living room with Heidi, and I'm watching that in the Stevie Wonder thing. I was like, I don't need to go any further. I need to just rewind this and watch Stevie Wonder play all the instruments again and perform that. Like, I need to see that again. Like, I need to see, like, Sly and the Family Stone. Like, there was a crazy performance. I mean, the gospel performances, was
like
all,
the Fifth Dimension, like
the Fifth Dimensions, and them talking about how it was to be the Fifth Dimensions at that time. People didn't really, they didn't really want us to be there.
Right.
They felt like we weren't black enough. Like, all of those statements are like, wow, Marilyn McCoo, and that's how they felt.
Yeah, Billy Davis Jr.
That's how they felt, and that's how it felt for them. And all that just went away in a puff of smoke. I get a text message. I'm sitting in the basement, doing some tax work and stuff, and I look at my phone, and it's a link, and I click the link, and it's that, but it's from Australia. So for me, I was like, so this is all over the world already, and this is what we all look like. And then I was a little disappointed because a lot of young journalists, black journalists, male and female, criticized Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and some other people for being critical of that moment.
Yeah.
And I thought that was wrong. But, that's how they feel. They feel like you shouldn't be apologetic, and that he was defending his wife, and that was necessary.
So you're just going to smack everybody?
Apparently.
You have alopecia. I have friends that have alopecia.
Yeah. That's,
It's not, it's,
it's unfortunate, and it's got to be hard. Neither one of us can say what it's like. I mean, I don't have a lot of hair, but I can't say what it's like to be a woman and not have any hair, or to, to be somebody that's on her level of beauty and not have any hair. But the thing is, when you're on her level of beauty and you don't have any hair, you're still beautiful.
I mean, right.
You know, and the joke was not that. I didn't feel like it was that harsh, but then again, I'm a harsh person, so I was like, maybe
I think
I was
about
wrong.
like Madam C.J. Walker and her what she's done for. So maybe if she wouldn't have made a straightening comb, we would have thought we were beautiful. You know what I mean? As opposed to trying to simulate and being someone else. Why we don't see that side? Or maybe if Jackie Robinson wouldn't have broke the color lines and stayed in the Negro Leagues. Because some people believe that was the worst thing he ever did. And some people believe.
So what would have happened if he didn't? Somebody else would have done it.
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
If he hadn't done that, I mean, where would the world be now? Is the world productive if it's separated? We're all collated into these little categories.
Well, it was at one point, right? I mean, the Negro Leagues were flourishing.
Yeah. I mean,
they
I get
were
it.
doing, they were doing
I
their
get
thing.
that. I get that. I'm just
were doing
wondering
their
if the
thing.
United States grows into what it is today. Is that a good or a bad thing? Is it turned into what it is today? Are we at the level we are today? Inside of, is the country what it is today? If we remained segregated.
We could have been better because we could have started our own sports leagues. We could have maintained that individual aspect of whatever it was.
Will people go see them? Will we have the access to education?
They did go see the Negro Leagues, yes. Yes, yeah. It was a profitable thing.
No, I get it. I'm just wondering I don't know.
And it taught entrepreneurship. I mean, I don't know, like I'm just talking about Americans. Me, I wasn't taught that. Now I got people from the Caribbean. They know that already. They knew. You know what I mean? That this is what I'm going to be doing, and that's it. I was working for somebody X amount of years, and then I'm out. I'm doing my own thing. We weren't given that.
Some of us, yeah.
I wasn't. I'm just talking about.
I was a blue collar kid. I grew up in the Midwest. It's about having a job. It's
yeah.
So I don't know, and even at that time, even with a segregated America, I think working for other people when America was very segregated, during that time, there were few and far between. The black car company was already gone by that time.
But it was here.
Well, it did, but that was the 20s, and this was, and then Jackie Robinson was post-night. It was the late 40s, early 50s. The question I'm just saying is, we were looking for the integration for the purpose of having the opportunities of owning the big league team, of owning a bank that nobody said, well, that's the black bank, I'm not going in there. For the purpose of being able, if you were a black car company, for people to buy the car because of the brand of the car and not look at you in the face and be like, a bunch of black people made that. Like, we wanted something different than what we got from integration. We wanted equivalence. We wanted a fair shot. It just hasn't occurred yet. But people argue that it has, but it really, truly, to a large degree, maybe it hasn't.
How could you ever get a fair shot with something that's not yours?
Well, here's a question for you. There's not an inch of this country that we didn't participate in building, so why isn't it ours?
You tell me.
I mean, is it because we believe it's not ours? Is it because we're treated as if it's not ours? And are we fighting for it to be above board, something that we share equally? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, sure, separate makes sense. Separate makes sense.
I mean, who's going to give that up, though? You know what I mean? Like, if
you're on top, and you run a building, and then somebody says, let's share, you're like, no, but I don't. But and then I think that the argument that we're having now is that we think that there is going to be a time that it's fair. And I can say that I don't think anything's ever fair in the United States.
Yeah,
and that's no disrespect to the United States. I think that the game is not played fair. There's no game that's played fair.
No.
There's no game.
I mean, not that one. At least,
I think, there's a different time in the United States that we look about, and it doesn't matter whether you're white, black, or otherwise, that attention to quality and pride in your job when you're working for somebody else existed. And now we exist in a different era where people are like, I'm just here to get a check at Wendy's, and I really don't care what the sandwich looks like when it gets to you. Like, if you go in and you say, I just want a chicken sandwich, and you look at it, you open it up, it's going to be like, who made this?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I don't care. What I'm saying is that in the process of us integrating everything, in the process of us trying to make things more fair, certain people way up at the top don't want to hear that. And then I think that to some degree, the belief that you can work your way through the system has dissolved, and that people want their own thing, but also at the same time, it's like the kids we saw singing, like they don't want to do the real work. Do you know what I'm saying? The real work would have been learning the lyrics and doing something different every song for the dance steps. It would have been knowing what song you're singing. They just picked a bunch of songs and learned kind of the melodies to the songs.
But I could look at it look at that in a different way. It's like they did do something. They did do something.
Yeah, they got out of bed. They
went out. Put they sign up.
Right.
With the QR
with
code.
QR code and put a bucket outside.
And they were out there mumbling songs.
Right. I'm just
I know
saying,
kids that wouldn't even have done that.
Right. And so they get credit for it. I get it. They get credit for
doing
doing that.
Working on a job.
But I think if you're going to be
on the
great,
job training, bro.
I think that, like, for instance, Michael Jackson and them became Michael Jackson because they were precise.
Right, but
and
they had Joe.
I think that there's
Joe.
a loss of precision. Right, they had Joe, but Joe was beating them. But I understand. But think about it.
Joe. These dudes didn't have Joe.
What I'm saying is that you got to be your own Joe, maybe.
At least they were singing Africa. At least they were singing popular songs, because you had people out there, they had their cameras up, they were filming them.
Right. So, but I mean, in a way, honestly,
I'm just trying to be positive for the brothers. They didn't know the lyrics, but they were out there with that entrepreneurial spirit.
I appreciate. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being critical on both ends. I like the fact that they were out there. But I was like, come on, man, like learn the lyrics. Like there are people that were like, this is cool, I know this song, and then they start filming, they realize these dudes were just mumbling, they're like, I'm not giving you any money. And then that one dude went by and he was like, okay, like, you guys, it's Sunday morning and you're out here hustling, here's $5. You took some pictures of him, he's like, yeah, like, come take pictures of us, and then post it on the internet. And I was kind of like, hey, man, like, stop ruining people's dreams.
What? But they were out there, dude. They were out there.
You guys have to go see these dudes. There's 3 kids on the Beltline in Atlanta, Georgia, and they go out and they sing, but they don't really know the lyrics. And they were like, and as somebody who like remembers the songs and knows the songs, the first 30 seconds is cool. Like you hear the song, like they did Africa. So you're like, doo 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 doo. You're sitting there, you're having, your Starbucks with your girlfriend, and you start nodding your head, and you're like, doo 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 doo. You're like, here they go, and they get the first lyric right, and then everything else is kind of just mumbled. You're kind of like, remix. Hey, you're like, yeah, right. You're like, hey man, what are you doing?
That was the remix, son. That was the remix.
It was off. It was. They're not awful, but they're not awfully good.
Like, come on, Jason, you gotta give them that. Let's be positive with them young brothers. We did the wrong in our first trip around. We said this. We came to the conclusion. We at our ages, we didn't do what we needed to do by these kids. Now we gotta do right by them.
Okay, is right by them saying, "Hey, man, learn the lyrics to the song," or is right by them saying, "You know what? You got out of bed. This isn't
That's
great.
Right. You tried.
You tried. Here's $5. It's a consolation prize.
No.
That's the consolation prize.
No, they got up and did
something. That's a participation trophy.
No, it's not a participation.
That's a participation trophy.
They won. They won. They out there doing something. They creating a new
participation trophy.
They created a new Africa.
Here's your. I know you didn't do the work. Here's your certificate. You showed up in class.
They're gonna remix that song. It's gonna be called African Americans.
But it'll have no lyrics.
Yo, they were out there. Come on, dude. Give it to them. Give it to them.
The fact that they got up and they weren't just selling water.
They had their speakers. They had the sign, the QR code all set up.
But do you see
Bro,
what I'm saying?
have you ever did anything like that?
Yes.
When you did that? When you did that?
Me and Mars, I was going around I was setting up my my DJ thing.
You old. These kids were like,
it doesn't count because I'm old.
You're
an ageist.
You old.
If I stick my neck out to do something creative, it doesn't matter. No, and then as soon as he said, "Have you ever done anything like that?" He's like, "You're old." Like I don't know why I asked you. It doesn't count.
Okay, what did you do?
We're discouraging old people.
No. I'm not just. What did you do?
So my idea was going out and broadcasting live from different locations. So I started doing that. Like I set up the deck, set up the laptop, just popped up on the corner, hooked myself up to the internet, and was just streaming. Like people coming by, waving, saying what's up. It was just DJing, playing records like I was a radio station. People were like, "Hey, what are you doing this for?" I was like, "Just doing it." They're like, "Oh wow, free music." And then they'd be like, "Look, honey," to the kids, free music. You're just entertaining people.
Right. Okay, but these guys were singing. You were just playing music.
Oh, now it's because I was just
They
saying,
were
you're
singing.
a DJ too. You don't sing.
Right. I am. But listen, I'm not saying what I'm doing is.
What I'm saying is this.
They were singing, dude.
What I'm saying
and
is
it was
this.
3 of them.
If I was playing records and I was always off beat, or like the record was just looping, or I just played the same record over and over again, it's the same because they literally were not literally, dude. All I'm suggesting is that, hey, if you're gonna do this and you're gonna do a song, do the song for real. Like, don't do the song and have me waiting to sing the lyrics and really be like, yeah, and then just you don't know the lyrics, do you?
Listen, man,
I'm a little
they got to
disappointed.
put the 10,000 hours in, and they'll be okay.
They missed the first 100 hours where you're at home and you
they're gonna be out there tomorrow.
You fumble through the lyrics.
Or come by next Sunday and see if they're out there and see how they do. And then you could, drop a little.
I won't be there next Sunday, but the Sunday after that, I'm going to show up, and if they don't have the lyrics, I'm going to have 3 file folders with all the lyrics to the pop songs that I heard them play, and I'm going to be like, what you need?
And drop it off to them like, yo, here, your whole list.
Right.
That'll be dope.
Here's $5 and some lyrics.
Right. I think they would appreciate that.
They'd be like, thanks, man, for the $5. Throw those lyrics away. Didn't he see we're making money without singing the lyrics? You don't like mumble rap. They're turning your favorite songs into mumbles, and you're supporting them. Go ahead, keep mumbling, kid.
No, but they're
fine.
They're not calling women to their private parts or doing any other.
I appreciate that
crazy stuff. They just doing their thing. They trying to sing. They can't really. They don't really know the lyrics.
I appreciate them making the effort to come out and sing.
Yeah,
I like the fact that they played a diverse playlist of music.
They did.
This is just like American Idol. I can like part of what they've done without liking the other part.
Okay.
I mean, and you know what? And people can call me what they always call me. You hating Staten. I'll be like, okay.
Yeah, I know. I've been called a hater all my life, dude.
And it's fine. But I think if they would have just learned the lyrics, I would be a lot happier.
And the thing with that is, I don't like the fact that I can't have an opinion on something. I have one. I'm going to voice it.
Be careful. Don't get canceled.
How you going to cancel me?
People now, I'm wondering if that's the next thing. Like, oh, you've got an opinion. I remember a lady said,
"How you going to cancel me?" Like, I don't understand. Like Dave Chappelle said, Twitter's not a real place. You can't cancel me. Like, what? I'm in Atlanta. I mean, what? How you going to cancel me?
I had no idea. I guess they make it so you can't get shows. They make it so you can't
I guess
get movies.
they could cancel them because I don't need your show. You
right.
know what
I mean, for you, you're just a dude with an opinion. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. For him, they could mount an opposition to him.
They tried.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
Honestly, he's uncancelable.
Yeah,
I think at this point.
He's Teflon right now.
Unless he does something really bad. And the reality is he didn't do anything that bad to get canceled. I mean, when you talk about the people who got canceled, the long list of people who got canceled, whether it's, they tried to cancel Liam Neeson because Liam Neeson said that he wanted to go out and kill a black guy because his friend supposedly got assaulted by a black guy. He almost got canceled. Then there's Jerry Epstein got canceled so bad he either killed himself or somebody killed him.
Jerry Epstein, who's that? The dude. Okay, I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Epstein, Jeremy Epstein, Freddie Epstein, whatever his name
I know
was.
he had a Netflix show. I mean, he didn't have a show. There was a documentary.
There's a documentary on him and his house and his weird practices and Giselle or whatever her name is that's in prison now. Then, what's his name? It wasn't Bruckheimer. It was the other producer, the two brothers that have that make huge films. One of them got canceled, and then they had to shut down their company.
Who, Jerry Bruckheimer?
No, not Bruckheimer. No, it wasn't Bruckheimer. I was trying to think of the name of the dude. So sorry, Bruckheimer, for saying your name relation
dude.
to him.
Not your man, the heavy set dude that was kissing Oprah with she was down with him. Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, the Weinsteins. They got canceled.
Both of them or just one?
Well, I mean, one of them, but they're brothers and they're in business together. So if the Weinstein brand goes down, it kind of
I mean, so what happened with the brand?
I don't know if I haven't seen a Weinstein movie or Weinstein production or.
I have issues with that, like because people knew what this dude was doing.
Bill Cosby's canceled.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
people knew what Weinstein was doing, and they didn't,
Yeah.
I
I think in
not
a
a
lot
fan
of
of
these
Oprah
in a lot of
Winfrey.
these instances, people know what these people are doing, and they get canceled. Do Jesse Smollett, is he canceled? Or
I
not?
don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think the idea is that these individuals that come out that do things that are horrific get canceled, but then somebody says the wrong thing
Yeah.
in a specific context that hurts somebody, and they're all upset. And I think there has to be room for people to have differing opinions. Otherwise, there's no conversation.
Yeah.
Then it becomes something different. Then it becomes I said that you shouldn't say this and do this,
Right.
and then it changes everything. I think that we live in an super interesting world where people are going to have super interesting opinions and ideas and perspectives on things. And if the perspective doesn't lead to you going and shooting a bunch of people, or hurting someone else,
It's cool.
or damaging somebody else, that's your opinion. I don't think that you should ever put your hands on anybody.
Nope.
That you should ever physically engage anybody or say certain things to people that damage their state of being. But at the same time, I don't think that I don't know if about ruining somebody's ability to ever earn a living again.
Right. Yeah.
That
kind of sucks.
I don't know. That's a very super touchy area, and it's a new weapon. It's kind of like the atom bomb, the neutron bomb of our not a cinematic neutron bomb, but kind of a media neutron bomb that you can somebody puts their hand on somebody's lower back that made them feel uncomfortable, and maybe that person needs to be investigated, and you go through somebody's internet history and they've been looking at the wrong stuff, and then you find out an email, and then somebody says, and then suddenly there's somebody no longer exists.
Yeah.
You're like, whatever happened to that dude?
Whatever happened to Jeremy Piven?
I don't know what happened to Jeremy. The question is, whatever happened to Silas from Warriors? He did the Warriors, and I never saw him again.
Which was
the dude at the beginning of the movie? Can you dig it?
You mean Cyrus?
Cyrus.
Yeah, I don't know. But Jeremy Piven, something happened and he got canceled.
Wow, they canceled him so well that we don't know why he got canceled.
You know who Jeremy Piven is?
Yeah,
right?
Dude from
Entourage.
And dude. He was in the movie that begat the movie that begat High Fidelity. He was in High Fidelity. He was in.
Oh, he's in High.
He's a number of films, man. He's great.
Yeah, High Fidelity was great.
There's been a lot of people that have like popped up. DJ Soundwave.
Oh, that's my guy.
The bad man. He was like in here, but now he's not in here. Then Mr. Dub 50 was in here.
Yeah, I know. I grew up with Dub.
Yeah, Heaven's Girl. Heidi was in there. She was like, the mic is blocking your face.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone wants to see my face other than her. But I mean, it's a crazy. It's crazy. But I mean, now the things you say and the things you do, it makes you not want to take the risk of saying something or having an opinion, because an opinion can get you, excommunicated from whatever career you had.
Yeah.
And
that's sad.
Yeah.
That's sad.
That's not what you want to do. I mean, I think that we all fear success and failure simultaneously. And in doing so, we all question whether or not we should say certain things or do certain things. And I think it's going to create kind of a fear, just like I think it's going to create a fear that, like Dave Chappelle had a dude run up on stage on him. I think there's going to be a certain fear that people have of being a comedian. Like, if I go in here and say this about this type of person or this person or that person, is somebody going to feel like it's okay to run up on stage and do something?
Yeah,
it's going to change. I think each time it's like it changes the context of our existence every time we have these types of things, and it creates a certain level of fear. I think by having COVID, our reaction has put us in a weird place.
Yeah.
Can't
even cough. Yeah, without people.
Well, I mean, if you don't walk in some place wearing a mask, it makes a political statement about you. It makes a statement about what kind of human being you are. If you do or don't get the vaccine, it makes a statement about what type of human being you are.
It shouldn't be that way, though.
Yeah, I think sadly, things were out of control before we even realized what was happening. And then it became how can we make people how can we help people deal with this situation? And I think we're still figuring that out. I think we still don't know enough to make any kind of statement. But I mean, it is what it is, man. I mean, this is the world we live in. It's going to continue to evolve and change. I think,
Yeah.
that we're going to continue to want to push the envelope and make different things happen. And I think, we have to suck it up and deal with the reality that things aren't going to stay the same. Hip hop hasn't stayed the same.
Yeah, and it's okay. I'm good with it. I had my time with it. I enjoyed my time with it, and there's still little pieces here and there that I mess around with.
Well, like you said, back in the day, there were 10 MCs.
Yeah,
maybe 5 DJs and 10 MCs.
But we could move that further up, to like the 90s, maybe or late 80s when it was more than that.
Right, but what I'm saying is now you have a lot of people making music, and it comes down a huge pipe called the internet.
Yeah.
And it's hard to sift through it to find what you want.
Yeah.
But what you want is probably there. And doesn't matter now. At this point, the greats of the era that we came from are in their 50s and 60s, and they're still making records. And we have to ask ourselves, do you want to make a record or not? You know what I'm saying? Because you could make a record. Todd Jones could go make a record right now, put it out, release it, and there'd be maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe 100,000 people out there who would listen to it and wouldn't care how old you are. They just want to hear the music because the internet's this vast, area thing that you can explore.
If you look at it like that, then you would be successful because you're not basing your success off anybody else.
If I put out a record, and this is totally doable, if you made 100 beats over the course of your beat making,
right,
that means that you made, divided by 10, you made 10 albums. You could release each of those sets of 10 beats online individually. People would buy them, and if you sold 5,000 of each of those, you made $1 off each of those, you have an entire career.
Yeah.
You could pay your rent. You could literally pay your rent. Wouldn't be rich.
Yeah.
But you could travel. You could pay your rent. You could tour off of it. You could go DJ and just play your beats. You could, sell a beat here or there to a different MC. He may not be the richest dude in the world. He may be somebody that's only selling 50,000 records. And you could still have a career. A guy named Anthony Shakir told me one day hip-hop is going to be jazz. And I think that's what hip-hop is right now. I think there's always rap music. There's always rappers. There's all types of different genres of rap. But in terms of what we consider classic hip-hop, it still exists. It just doesn't have the market that it used to have. And every once in a while, something will break through, and you'll hear it on the radio, and you're like, I love that record. And a million other people love that record. But, it's just not as common as it used to be.
Nah. Yeah, which is I'm good with it, man.
Why cycling, man?
Music,
what does cycling have to do with hip hop?
Cycling. I like to walk, and I said, let me figure out. Okay, I figure out a way to get there faster.
But you didn't use it. But you didn't think motorized skateboard?
Nah, because I wanted to do it. I wanted to have some sort of exercise included in it, because it started with walking.
Because you could have done a Segway.
Yeah, and then my girlfriend, she was at one point in time, she was into doing triathlons. So she had a bike, and I used to always see her bike there, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right, Then for Christmas, she gave me some money to put that on the bike, and I was like, all right. And I wound up buying like a, what they called it, what did they call it? It's a hybrid. It was called a hybrid because it looked like a mountain bike with road bike tires.
Yeah, the big fat tires.
No, they was actually skinny, more like
skinny tires, like road tires. Okay.
Yeah. So I bought that. I enjoyed it. And I would come into the local bike shop and buy different parts and pieces for it. And then I was trying to make the bike lighter. And then one of the guys who owned the shop, he was like, "Yo, dude, why are you spending so much money in this bike trying to make it lighter? You can't." He's like, "You should."
It's a 30-pound bike. And
yeah.
You're playing with a half a pound.
Yeah. He's like, "Just buy a road bike." And I'm like, "Nah, I'm a bigger guy. I can't ride a road." He's like, "Here, let me get the pedals off of your bike, put it on this bike, take it for a test ride." It was a 2017 Giant Defy full carbon fiber bike, weighed about 16 pounds. I rode the bike around like a Broadway 60-something street, came around down like 50-something street, and back up 10th Avenue. Gave the guy the bike. It was like, I'm buying this bike. The power that I put out with the carbon fiber bike was the same as I did with the hybrid bike, but I was much faster. I was much more efficient, and I was like, "Nah, I need to." And I can't say never, but I don't think I will ever buy another hybrid bike.
How did that affect your photography? Did it expand your reach, your ability to go?
No,
around
not
cities?
really, because I would always ride without cameras. You know, I didn't really have, because it was all about the ride. You know what I mean? Like at one point, this was what I was doing. I was going to different boroughs and taking pictures of my bike next to murals. Well, I would do that with just a phone because
Right.
I was too scared to ride around with cameras. And because you do fall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stuff does happen, and I don't want to mess up a
You
camera.
don't want to just do a GoPro on your helmet?
I had a 360 a 360 camera on my helmet, so I got some footage of that kind of stuff too. Not a GoPro, but it's I don't know. You ever see a 360 camera?
Yeah, it's got multiple cameras around it. Or
No,
do
it's
you
just
have
one.
that
It's
rotates?
it's actually it's two cameras. You're right. It has one in the front and one in the back, and it stitches it together.
Got you. It's a fisheye lens essentially.
Yeah, yes,
That
two
assembles
fisheye
it together.
lenses. It's stitched together. I still have one. I have a Mi Spear, and I have a Samsung 360 that actually came with the phone that I bought at the time, and I would throw that on the top of my helmet and just ride. But yeah, man, it was just it was basically more or less through her. She was like, "Yo, you should try getting the bike," and she gave me the money for the bike, and I bought it, and I've been hooked, dude. Like I haven't been out to France for the last leg of the Tour de France in 2017.
What's that like? It's just a bunch of dudes just go by
Dude,
you.
it was amazing. And this is on cobblestone roads. Dudes going 50 miles an hour on cobblestone roads. Bro, we camped out like 4 hours. We got, right up front. And dude, we just set up my little camera situation, and it was amazing, bro. Amazing, bro. I would like to do it again.
Huh.
So yeah, I'm all in, man. And like we talked earlier about the CRC racing events, I cover those. I go out and shoot them, and I'm getting to learn some of the riders, know them, and cool people. I can't wait to get back. They have the Dave Jordan Classic on June 4th.
Who's Dave Jordan?
He was a cyclist. He sponsors an event, but he was a cyclist himself.
Do you go from city to city? Like there's the dope peddlers here in Atlanta. There's
I
big bike
would,
thing.
but right now for me it's just that I'm fortunate to be in a city where this stuff happens.
Right.
And I want to say June 19th, there's a race in Harlem. It's called the Harlem Crit, and I don't know if this guy. He's pretty big in the crit world. His name is Justin Williams, black dude from L.A. He's a beast. You know what I mean? And he's coming to Harlem, so I can't wait. Because they race around like the parks in Harlem and it's the streets. They block off the streets. So I can't wait for that to happen.
How black is Harlem now?
Maybe not so much. Maybe not so much. It's the only place in New York City where I can walk and see James Baldwin's name.
Yeah, sure. I just think I
um,
just wonder how long does that last once it's gentrified?
I
Do they
know,
leave that
yeah.
alone?
But
Do they respect the history of it, or does it get stripped away?
I mean, listen, Harlem was different. It was owned by Jews at one point. Philip Payton was one of the guys that said, "Hey, let me go down south and find the best people to come up and rent your spots out." So Philip Payton is known as the godfather of Harlem. So
Yeah.
it evolved to what it was, and then it'll evolve into something else afterwards.
Yeah.
So I'm just enjoying it while I'm there. I can't,
Right. You ever see Bill Clinton?
Nah. I see Jimmy Carter on a plane though.
Yeah.
I think I told you the story.
To be so active and so alert.
Yeah. My boy's getting married in Oklahoma City, and I see this guy walking around with like huge bodyguards and had a name buckle that said JC on it. And I'm like, yo, who the hell is this dude? And then when he got to us, and I shook his hand, I was like, oh, that's Jimmy Carter. Like, yo, this is cool. I was like, all right. And my mother loved Jimmy Carter. He's because he's a Georgia boy.
Yeah.
I was my mother's favorite president, Jimmy Carter. So that was kind of dope. Say I met a U.S. president, man.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Super old.
Is he still around?
He's still alive.
Jesus.
He was teaching Sunday school. I think now he doesn't because people would go to people would go in droves to a Sunday school. I don't think he does that anymore.
Yeah,
he had a brain cancer, but it wasn't terminal, and I think he beat it. And he's pretty amazing. I mean, honestly,
yeah. When I seen him, it was like in 06, 05, something.
No, I think he's still around, man.
Damn.
I think it's been a thing. I think he's out. He's not out yet. Definitely definitely one of those people that I think changed the world a little bit.
Yeah, shout out to JC, man.
You said he had a Jay-Z belt.
Yo, he's a dope buckle too. I was like, yo, this dude is chilling. I was like, JC. Who the hell is JC? Though I see his face. Oh, it's Jimmy Carter.
What we need to do now is find some dinner.
Yeah. Let's do it.
And get out of here. Thanks everybody who hung out. A lot of people it was like smaller numbers today.
Yeah,
bits and pieces.
It's all good, man. I appreciate it. We're gonna do it again.
It'll be on YouTube. So I'm gonna do is edit the beginning part off of it and then put the hashtag this, hashtag that, hashtag this, hashtag that, and then send it again and send it to you and send it to some other people. And then, the idea is that over the long term, I can have more in-depth conversations with more people that just aren't, a lot of people are like, I need to talk to this celebrity person. I need to talk to this person that does this. And I think it's more important to talk to artists and artisans and people on their path and figure out where they're going and learn something every time I talk to somebody versus, asking questions that somebody else has already asked.
You about it, man. You make a person that don't want to talk. Yeah. So I always enjoy our conversations, man.
I appreciate that.
Whenever we talk, we'll hit each other up, and then it's always good. I always have something to say.
I gotta do something next week at Movement. I think I'm gonna take all the equipment up there and then stream live from Movement, and then have people come by and just be like, "You got a mix?
Right.
Let me holler at that. Let me bring your set with you.
Right.
And I'll just run their set and just do interviews over people's sets.
Because you good with that, with the music and the copyright stuff?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not. It's going to be on Deep Space Radio, probably.
Oh, okay.
And I'll probably share it over to my Twitch. You know what I mean? Share it over to my Facebook.
Yeah. Well, Twitch, they won't kick you out, but
they'll blank your stuff after the fact.
Yeah. Just
but and then I also have the ability to stream to Deep Space Radio, and then only take the audio portion. Only take the mic portion.
Yeah, because you're doing tracks, right? So you're able to.
So I'll just create a submix,
and
put that out. You know what I mean? Maybe get Juan. Maybe John Aquaviva will come up. Maybe he won't. It's whoever. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't have to be the biggest EDM DJ ever.
Dude, it's a cool platform, and you have the resources and the know-how to put stuff like this together. At the crib or here. So you are utilizing what you have.
Or you just that's all you can do.
Yeah. And then
the next step is, here, is to, get a show that uses traditional radio and music and ties it together with
what you are doing is learning the words to Africa.
Yeah. I think I learned.
When you started, you were mumbling. But now you know the words.
You can make an excuse if you want to. Those dudes should have knew the words before they went out there. I was like, "What are you saying?" Because at first I wanted the song to be right so bad. In my head, I was making the lyrics work. In my head, it was like, and then I just kept. I listened closer.
And I'm gonna be honest, dude. I don't know if they didn't know the lyrics. It's just funny to me that you said it. So I'm going with what you said.
I believe that if I recorded them and slowed it down, it would be nothing.
But I do know that they were not enunciating properly.
No.
Did they not know the words? I don't know, but they were not enunciating.
I know
properly.
this. He had a lot of range with his voice.
They sang kind of weird too.
It was.
You said he sounded like he was from Las Vegas or something.
He was like a Vegas singer. Like he'd go, everybody, blah, 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 blah. And then he'd go into a mid range.
But
that was entertaining.
Though, right?
So that was different.
That was different.
They looked a little like a older version of that boys group that they had that was in the movie with Chris Tucker. And he was like, same time, man, same time. What was the little group, the little kids group? I think they were on RCA Records. They look like a little male TLC.
Oh, Immature?
Yeah, they look like Immature if Immature was older and thugged out.
Yeah.
Like the Immature after they stole somebody's car and then went to panhandle money.
Wait, wasn't that like Omarion in that group or one of those dudes that wound up becoming someone?
Yeah.
Wasn't Omarion from a group?
Or Batman. One of the Batman dude was on TV on a show.
Okay.
He was on another show. Anyway, those dudes, I hope they learn the lyrics one day. So I can really enjoy
You've
that.
Learned the lyrics, they will learn them too.
It was just crazy. I was like, what is he saying? Why is he singing like that? And he was changing his voice up and then bringing his voice back to regular. But yeah, his game, his mic game in terms of like interacting with people was crazy.
Yeah. You seen that That's what I'm talking about. You seeing that positive in these brothers.
I saw positive anyway. I just think that they like. I just think that you get. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like if you're gonna DJ, I don't mind you DJing. But if you show up to a party and you can't mix and you have bad selection, then you're not really DJing. You're just.
But the weird part about that, is that flies now. You can do that. You can do it.
Right. What do they need you for when they can get a fake DJ?
That's why DJs make $100, $150 a night because nobody cares. Nobody cares.
But then there are other DJs that make $100,000 a night.
Dude, I mean, I wish, like, I don't know, these EDM DJs that just jump up and down, play a long mix. Jazzy Jeff need to be making that $100,000.
Jeff is dope, and he could. I think if he wanted to, I think that Jeff could. I don't
know, man.
I don't know that.
But the people who are he's been priced out, meaning like the people who he caters to won't pay. We not going to see that. We're not going to Vegas to see him in Vegas. No, they want to see whoever, whatever.
It's interesting that people will go see DJs in Vegas, but the DJ has to come to us. Yeah. Like, you're not going to take a train down to Philly to see Jeff. You're not going to go fly out to Vegas to see Jeff. But if Jeff shows up in Harlem,
oh, hell yeah,
then you'll go see Jeff.
Hell yeah, all day. I'm going to go see him. I'm going to see Kraftwerk, man, next month, June 19th or something.
Oh, they're great.
Yeah.
They're great.
Yeah.
They do that digital show.
Man, listen. They're like, that's the first record I ever bought.
No Kraftwerk.
Numbers.
Possibly no Planet Rock.
Yeah. Easy.
Definitely
Easy.
Tour de France is one of the best party records. Numbers, Tour de France, and it's more fun to compute. And
Kraftwerk had a metal on metal.
Yeah.
Boom, king, boom, boom. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Autobahn. Yeah, come on, like Kraftwerk. Music.
Non-stop. Yeah, that was crazy. With the digital heads.
Yeah.
It's crazy. All right, y'all. Follow up. www.jasonstaten.com. Go to YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I'll repost everything on there, and hopefully check y'all out next week live from Movement. Holla at your boy, Jason Staten at gmail.com. Thanks, Todd, for coming through. I'll put up all your links.
My pleasure.
So that everybody can look at your photography, your bicycle adventures, your actual videos that you've actually put out, and then hopefully you'll give me a link for the actual record.
Gotcha. Peace.